Hello everyone and welcome back to the My Football Writer YouTube channel. Today we're going to be dissecting the pre-season friendly that Norwich City had with Club Brugge on Wednesday evening. I'm Freddie Humphrey Wakefield and I'm joined by Will Grant, also known as Youth Norwich on Twitter, and that's something we're definitely going to be covering in terms of performances and how they played. More in a tactical setup from Johannes Hoff Thorup. So this is going to be similar to the work of Ben Lee. If you're familiar with that name of NCFC analysis, I'll leave that in the description below so you can get even a bit more about that if you're interested in the more tactical side of football and Norwich City. But first of all, Will, of course, how have you been? There's been a lot of news circulating Norwich, but we're probably going to leave that for the weekend in the next podcast. But how have you been since that last one? And albeit Norwich were second best in a few departments in that friendly against Club Brugge, there were still signs that were promising, weren't there? There was a lot of things that we're going to cover that look as if going into the new season, we can continue that excitement despite a pre-season loss, but it's pre-season. You can't exactly get too upset.
No, I'm very hot, but I'm still doing really well. I'm actually really infused as well by the Callum Doyle potential signing as well. I think it's going to be like a really good bit of business for Norwich. So I'm very excited and happy. And let's be honest, pre-season, it's about the results, is it, anyway? So I'm happy, but I'm more interested to kind of like delve into the tactical and the youth players that kind of did really well on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah. No, and then of course on Saturday they'll be playing against Standard Liège in another pre-season friendly in their training camp in Belgium. And that was just something quickly just to note about those Belgian sides. They're very near the end of their pre-season, and I believe Club Brugge have got a cup final to play in the next few days, and then their season starts. So this is two teams in this game specifically where they're at completely contrasting ends of pre-season. Norwich have only they've only not even played a full week yet of pre-season. They've only played 2 games. Of course, there's so much they'll still need to learn, and that's, again, we're going to be covering all that sort of stuff and how they play in possession and out of possession. But that's straight away, that's a key thing, isn't it? There was no surprise. I mean, Club Brugge are the Belgian champions, are going to be playing Champions League football. So again, you can touch on that pre-season that the result needn't be a worry. Johannes Hoff Thorup said that himself, and he did say as well that they still need to look at the result and learn from that. And this can be a learning curve completely. This, of course, Norwich are never going to be playing a team of the caliber of Club Brugge. Well, I certainly hope they will be in a few years' time, but just from that alone, you can't take it for face value, of course. But well, we might as well get straight into it and what we're going to talk about. So the first thing, straight away, we go into tactics. Now, Will, you've even got a whiteboard for this, for visual representation, which is fantastic. That can help our viewers.
Can we all see it? Okay.
There you go. Yeah, I can see that perfectly.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see the names. Yeah, you're dropping off a little bit now, just
there
below. I can see that's Sarah as your number 8 on the board. But yeah, that's fantastic. But the first thing to talk about, well, is actually the structural positioning, which you've even got there. Norwich played a bit of a 3-2-5 formation when they actually built up, and you wanted to cover about the role of the double pivot in midfield. You can instantly see there you've highlighted Sarah and Fisher on that right hand side. So of course Kellen Fisher, after he played that second half against Northampton, more in midfield than he did right back, that looks as if he was fantastic from what I was hearing from yourself and Henry over the weekend and what social media was raving about. But then as well about Gabriel Sarah, of course, it seems as if he's playing in a bit more of a different role. But what did you notice from that in that game about the terms of those two as the pivot and what they would sort of, you wanted to cover their positioning really in terms of, you didn't think it was too natural, you were saying to me before we started this?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was too natural because it kind of felt like they were getting Fisher out of possession almost and trying to prioritise getting Sarah on the ball. As you can see in my highlighted zone here, you can kind of see that Fisher is kind of like inverted more towards the right-hand side. And I think that's probably because we want to try and get Sarah just right here. We want to try and get him in the more central parts of the pitch because I think that then allows him to kind of like control the game much better and showcase his kind of passing qualities much more better, really. And I think when you have normally I kind of associate having a pivot like here and here, if that makes sense. But all of a sudden now they kind of went back. Fish went to the right, and Sarah went more central. And this is actually a split image. Of the game during against Club Brugge when Warner actually had the ball in possession. And normally there's actually like a nice pocket here, I think, for Sarah to try and like receive the ball and try and play through the lines. But actually, Sarah kind of like dropped her feet and wanted to play next to Jenna Warner right here. And that kind of got the attack moving. And yeah, I just thought it's really interesting because I think it kind of speaks a lot about Gabriel Sarah and like his importance to the team still. And I think when you're kind of seeing so much patterns already of Sarah being so dominant in possession and they wanted to try and use him all the time, I think it just goes to show actually how important he actually is for the team. So yeah, I kind of felt bad for Canon Fisher really because he was kind of isolated on the right hand side quite a lot during the game. But I think definitely they wanted to try and get Sarah on the ball as much as possible really because he is our best player and he is so good at trying to start attacks. But maybe we kind of I now want to try and touch on Freddie actually because we actually spoke before the recording. And we said actually that although Sarah is so dominant actually in possession for the team, he wasn't actually at his best against Club Brugge, would you say?
No, I didn't think so. Of the short bit of the stream that was available, really, and what else I could find. But if I say how I found that, I might get in a bit of trouble. But from what I was actually able to see of Gabriel Sarah, I didn't really think he was at his most sharp that we're so used to seeing and what we had seen over the last few months. I think had quite a few dodgy moments actually on the ball, and you were saying there about the actual tactical setup. That is what they're trying to do. They want him on the ball because they know he's the best player. And it looks as if already in this system, and as well from what was sort of being said after Northampton pre-season game, it looks as if this is going to be a bit more of a different role for him of connecting defence to attack. And he's going to be the focal point, which you expect this Norwich team should really be built around a player like him, especially of his quality. But I think it could really be down to maybe match sharpness, and albeit he's played almost 90 minutes of pre-season, if not more, I just still think that, of course, he didn't play over the international breaks, of course, didn't get called up to the Brazil squad, which is ludicrous, but it's still there's a lack of sharpness and minutes there for him, which is, of course, natural in pre-season. Like you don't play for a few months, you're nowhere near as sharp as you should be. But of course, that can be completely fixed with simply playing more and playing against teams of similar qualities to Club Brugge and similar stature. Maybe it'll be interesting to see how we do against Standard Liège as well, another quite a top outfit in the Belgian league. But again, yeah, I didn't think he was overly great, but as I say, that can just be fixed by playing more and just learning the system. That's something which they'll train on. You know, they've not exactly done that much training together as a full squad. There's still players missing from training that are yet to come back, like Cordoba and Sargent. But yeah, I think it's not great to see your best player not playing well, but again, it's not overly bad. I mean, yeah, that can just be fixed by playing a few more minutes. But someone who does already look quite good in the minutes that he has played, and it's Borja Sainz, and he's been playing as a left central midfielder, which no one is used to. He was played primarily as a winger under David Wagner. That's where he was the entire game. But it seems if under Thorup, he's going to be playing a slightly different position. And what you were saying to me before the recording, his off-the-ball movements really look as if it's going to be key. And it looks a smart move by putting him in midfield.
Yeah, I think Borja Sainz is a very, very key component to Norwich in possession this season. I think his movements probably is actually one of his better traits to his game. Like, look, I all know we all kind of associate Sainz with like his brilliant like runs on the ball, dribbling through defenses and stuff like that. But his actual intelligence to try and pick up really good positions, it's also really apparent during the games as well. There was many times during the first half I kind of felt he picked up really like in like nice pockets of space in between the lines, and I think that is so important, especially under Johannes Hoff Thorup. As obviously I touched on there how Sarah is the key man for the bit right now, and at the minute. So I think when Sarah kind of spots Sainz in possession, I think that is when Norwich can really, like I said, like on the attacks really. And I think Borja Sainz is that kind of player to progresses through the middle thirds to the attacking thirds, and I've been really impressed by his movements. Obviously, he's so good in possession on the ball. He's really smart as well. But I also wanted to kind of touch on as well during that kind of 3-2-5 build-up, obviously, which we're kind of all accustomed to. What I described in on my illustrious whiteboard, in fact, as well is it also when the youngsters came on in the second half, like those two midfielders were more stretched, and the distance between them was a bit wider. So I think it just goes to show that actually I think there is like a bit of a discrepancy between Sarah and Fitch's kind of like positions in the build-up to the young players. I think it was Manning and Jeja who kind of formulated a midfield two in the second half as well. So just wanted to kind of touch on that really. I think, but really, really impressed by Borges' signs. And I know you wanted to kind of talk about how Signs and Fisher kind of both operate as a left centre midfield and a right centre midfield.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really intelligent move because they have looked brilliant. As you said there, I can't really add much more to the off-the-ball movement of Sainz. He just drifting away, stretching the back line, which is a typical thing in modern-day football. You always try and stretch the back line and create gaps to play passes into spaces like that. And that's exactly what it seems if Johannes Hoff Thorup side is going to be doing. I mean, there was arguably for the first goal that they scored, he should be clearing his danger on the edge of the box when he wins it back. But maybe that could just be his confidence in himself to try and beat his man and keep going forward. That he's more than capable of doing that. We've seen that plenty of times. But with especially Callum Fisher, this is a kid who was playing non-league football 2 seasons ago. And he was mainly just playing as a right back under Wagner. But he seems almost... he just seems a revolution in midfield. Who would have ever thought that a 20-year-old kid could just slot in at midfield who's barely played first team football in the professional football above non-league, and he just looks so comfortable. He looks commanding. He's showing for the ball. It's just, and he's also, albeit in that Bruges game, as you were saying just now, it seems if he's more he was forced more to drift wide because of the positioning of Sarah. But again, that could just be what the setup was for that game. Johannes Hoff Thorup said in his fan forum the other week that they're going to approach different games in a different way based on the opposition they're playing. So maybe he believed that was the right thing to do, and maybe he wanted to create more width and use it to attack. But it just seems as if he's more central, really, Fisher, he's just looks fantastic, linking up play, just picking passes everywhere. No, this is incredible. When does a right back in midfield? I mean, it seems ludicrous, but it just seems to have worked for him by advancing him that bit further up the pitch. I mean, could this be someone that breaks into the team maybe and plays in this system? I mean, this would just be what a story it could be for young Callum Fisher.
Yeah, I think it's been superb. Like during the first game against Northampton, I know I'm so thoroughly supportive of the young players, but even I could admit that game, Fish was outstanding in the second half, by far the best player. He just looks so rejuvenated, and he just looks so comfortable on the ball. I think the thing with Fisher also is confidence. He feels it feels like he's managed to get much confidence that Thorup has actually probably applied to him as well. I think under Wagner, the choice of games was quite hard for him to kind of thrive. And I remember that game against Sunderland away, I think it was, and I think he came on. No, he started instead of Jack Stacey that game, and I think actually at the time Jack Clark was doing so well for Sunderland at the time, so it felt like quite hard to play him in that game. But I feel like this season it could be a bit more for Fisher, but I think Napa is more of a long-term thinker, and I think he'll be aware of Fisher's great performances, and I think like a lot of EFL clubs will be as well. And I think maybe an EFL loan could be a really good, exciting move for him. If he's going to be used as a right back, a midfielder, I have no clue right now about their plan for him, but very, very exciting performances as of late, and I think he's been one of the standouts, just like last year as well, in fact.
Yeah, and there's a lot of standout players from the youth that we wanted to cover. 2 centre halves in Jaden Warner and Brad Hills, he looks superb. Brad Hills, he looks a proper player. I mean, we spoke about him in the podcast over the weekend, and I mean, this is a player who I'll repeat what I said then. He was playing League 2 football last season, and he's just come into this team playing a few pre-season minutes, and he looks so naturally comfortable. He looks fantastic. I mean, there's still elements of his game that will be raw because he's not played too much first team football in his career, but that can be, again, something that can be coached. That's such a key element of this pre-season and the new coaching staff. I'm more than confident they're going to be able to coach new things into these players, and they will learn it well because they evidently can, especially the young ones. Jaden Warner, a player we've already seen play a few first team minutes in the Championship, but again, looking so confident. And that was something you mentioned in the podcast as well. The centre-back area just seems like, academy-wise, there's so many of them and they're all doing really well. and then another player in Finley Welch who looked class against Northampton on the right-hand side, even almost got himself an assist for the Ken Abbo goal if Forsyth had got the original one in the back of the net. But again, looking so promising. I mean, you've got a beaming smile on your face. I mean, it's no surprise because
it's young players, man. They're doing so well for themselves. And I think Warner's performance. Obviously, I could watch the game like at the time, so I kind of had to go on Twitter to kind of like gauge the mood on who was playing well, etc., etc. And I didn't really see Warner's name too much. Maybe you saw it more than me, Freddie, but his name wasn't really like mentioned. And then I watched like the whole game, and I thought he was actually really, really good. I think the first 10 minutes they kind of tested him like with loads of crosses into the box. I thought he dealt with them really well. I mean, as the game like grew on, his passing was really strong, really simple at times as well, which is fine. It's still pre-season. It's still his first game in quite a while actually as well, especially after an injury. And I think during the second half as well, we saw 2 long diagonals as well. So that just goes to show his superb passing range. And it's felt like actually for a while, I feel like Warner has probably been like the 3rd or 4th choice preference for like people at the minute, which is perfectly fine. I think we're talking about 4 very, very good centre halves actually. So it's so hard to gauge who is actually head of the pecking order right now. I think only for Pellick and I can't say that guy's name, so I won't even try. I think they all know kind of like who's ahead of the pecking order. So really, really excited about Jalen Warner. I think regardless, I think one of them will probably stay like at Colney and try and get a place in the first team. But then again, I think one thing which has to be like implemented is the other 3 get a good loan move to League One, because I think we're talking about 3 very, very good players for Norwich to come in the future. Maybe they might get sold for money, who knows? But that's still a success to some degree as well. So yeah, I was really, really happy with Warner's performance actually. Thought he was really, really good. Probably better than Van Sorensen actually. That's probably controversial, but I know. And I know you want to probably touch on Brad Hills again in a second as well. But I can't help but not talk about Finley Welsh. I've been going on about him now since August 2022, really, when he first came on the scene. During his first scholar years, he was operated as a CDM actually, which was quite interesting, like almost like a quarterback role. Which obviously that kind of limited his game on like what he could actually do. But then I think Greg Crane and his coaching staff were like aware of like his ball carrying qualities, and then since then on, he's been a very, very good effective resource for the 21s, under 18s, and the first team now as well. So I think the first game for Welsh against Southampton, I was really impressed with like his final product, and that part of his game I felt was a bit like underwhelming last season, I must say. I think he could have had so much more goals and assists, but this game, it was more like his running ability. I thought he was superb. And I think the thing with Finn as well is he's not all about just like running for the sake of it. He runs and like penetrates through central areas as well, which is so effective because it wins you like really good fouls in attacking areas. And when Norwich have got the free kick quality takers of Sarah and Nunes, and it's really, really effective for Norwich to win like a lot of free kicks in advanced areas. So yeah, I'm so impressed by Finn, and he's the one player who is great humble kid as well. So I just wanted to do so well for Norwich, and hopefully we see him more in the future.
Well, sounds as if that could well be the case. He's clearly a player there's so much rave about him, and he's advancing further up the pitch. Well, that's great to hear as well. I mean, there's evident there's a lot of attacking talent there, and everything you've just said, and from what was in the game as well, I can't disagree with you in terms of how much running he was doing and confidence on the ball as well. It's great to see, especially on young players. And then going back to the centre halves of Warner and Hills, you mentioned passing range. Of course, that's such a massive thing in modern football. You want confident centre halves with the ball at their feet. I mean, that's another reason why we brought in Jose Cordoba, a player we haven't even seen yet. But the big thing about Cordoba is being confident on the ball, happy to travel with it, play passes around, look to try and unpick the half spaces in midfield. And it seems as if Hills and Warner are being coached to do that, which, of course, you would expect. Again, this is what is going to be the play style. It's going to be possession heavy. There's going to be trying to break down teams and getting from defence to attack as quickly as you can. And you want to be on the front foot and score goals. That's just the basics of football. But this is something that has been said by Thorup. This is what we are going to expect. And it's very good to see that in the games that we've been able to watch, that there is evidence of that. It's being worked on. There is a pattern developing, which is a massive thing for this project. You need to see clear visions of what the style of play is going to be and how it's going to be integrated. And we're seeing that, I think. But for me, just the one issue that I was noticing was out of possession. But that's the thing is, that's just as important as in possession. I think really in the 4-3-3 we played, I know that, well, but again, before we recorded this, you said it was clearly a different shape from what was at Northampton. That was more a deep 5 at the back. This seemed to be a bit more of a genuine 4 at the back, a 4-3-3 setup. Again, it was quite deep, but just feel as if, well, we go back to the positioning of Sarah and maybe Fisher having to be dragged out a bit further wide. Just seemed out of possession. They were leaving far too many gaps for my liking. But again, that can be coached. That will probably be different against different teams. You know, sides will punish you differently depending on their abilities. But just that's a cause for concern for me, really. I mean, again, I know it's only pre-season. I can't take it for too much and just base it off of face value. But there's something that annoys me, really, because you can't allow that. If you in pre-season, or I can allow it, that's fair enough. But it's just that's the only worrying sign. I think you need to be careful. But again, new manager, new setup, players are learning it. What do you think about that? Because just for me, that's a thing that is going to play on the back of my mind personally if we go into the new season and it's still happening. I think that obviously there's work to be done, but that's no secret.
Yeah, I kind of noticed as well during the Northampton and the Club Brugge game, especially in deep areas. The Northampton game, we were kind of retrieving it into back. I think it was a 5-2-3 shape or like a 5-3-2 shape. Anyway, definitely had 5 defenders on the back line, and they were all so rigid and they were very, very deep. And actually, I think it's in the podcast as well. I actually thought during that game as well. I think generally we were a bit when we lost the ball. I think we retreated too deep as well. So maybe that's because the Wagner era is still in them a little bit, but still, I think a lot of them are still like young players. So maybe that's just natural. But I definitely noticed during the obviously we kind of played a 4-3-3 shape out of possession. That was kind of the general shape. At times as well, we also transitioned into a 4-4-2 shape as well. That's noticeable as well, and I think that's all well and good. Both of those formations are actually really good to set traps and press really high. So that's really encouraging. But I just feel obviously they've only had a day to obviously learn this and stuff like that. But the way we went so deep during that Club Brugge game, the 4-3-3 shape, it was the distance between the striker and the centre half was so narrow. It was probably about this. It was so narrow. So it was really interesting to see how that worked out. Obviously, that can have its advantages when you're so deep. I get that, but it's still never so deep to your centre half literally playing on the halfway line at time. No, not the halfway line. The penalty box line. So that isn't ideal, but obviously I think during the game at the weekend, I think Liège will probably pose a different challenge in terms of that, and hopefully that gets worked on Saturday as well. I know we've got is it Magdeburg at home on Friday?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure a German second division side.
Yeah, so I think obviously I'm obviously getting somebody here, but I don't know if we play the same standard of opposition compared to Club Brugge coming through season. I even go. Who do we play in Austria, by the way? Sorry, do you know who we play in Austria?
No, I don't. I can't remember personally.
No, mate, me neither. Anyway, sorry about that, guys, but no. I just don't know if we play the same level of opposition before Oxford. So, obviously, I'm sure Magdeburg, good pronunciation there, and others will pose their threats, but I don't know if we'll have as much time in terms of playing against a really, really strong team on having to defend for large portions of the game. And maybe that first challenge will probably be at Oxford away potentially. So that isn't ideal, but look, I might be speaking into the future. We might see some sort of Magdeburg absolute brilliant masterpiece. But look, we'll have to see. But yeah, very, very intrigued to see how that goes. But I definitely think the Thorup went the right way in terms of wanting to play out through the back and stuff like that. I think that's the most part. That's the biggest priority at a minute as well. So I think he's doing it like the right way around, especially. And I'm just happy with this new revolution as well. So I'm losing my words here because I'm so excited about what's to come, Freddie. But yeah, hopefully, look, Oxford is now taking a bye really, really quickly now. So get excited.
Yeah, no, you can't not be excited. This is just, I say it almost every single video that we do together. That the excitement just continues to build. I mean, there is so much going on right now that you can't not get excited by. And then I've actually just remembered we ended up playing in Austria. We played Toulouse, and then we beat them 2-0. I'm pretty sure. But
yes, we did. Yes.
Yeah, in terms of teams left in pre-season, of course, Standard Liège, arguably the hardest one we have left, and then Magdeburg, a German sort of lower division side. We've got to play St. Pauli, who won the league in the Bundesliga second division, and their manager was the guy who is now the Brighton manager. So a coach, I believe his name is Fabian Hulrezer. I might have butchered the pronunciation.
I've been really excited actually to see how Norwich would have coped against his style of football, because I think he's like a very ambitious manager as well in terms of like building up from the back. So that'd have been very, very exciting. So maybe we do have some tougher opponents yet, but I just wanted to I know we kind of haven't planned this or anything, but how well do you think like Ben Napa has done recently? Like this summer, he's got a new head coach who's like excited the fan base. He's got looks like to be two new good signings in the building as well. Hopefully soon in Doyle and obviously Cordoba. Then it's got a new academy of director as well who comes in with like some great stock as well, and the new Wills manager as well. So he's had like a really, really encouraging start to the season. And what I'm liking as well is I'm kind of getting the atmosphere as well that Napa isn't going to sell for cheap as well. And obviously we had examples last summer of Ballymother going, I think, for like £1 million as well. So I'm very, very excited about that as well. I think he's had like a really, really exciting summer. And I wasn't Webber's biggest fan. So obviously I'm going to be like more happy about Napa being here. But I think he's had a great start.
Yeah, he's been superb for us, Napa. Instantly, he's hitting the ground running and he's doing everything he needs to do. And this is a completely brand new role for him. All he's done before is be the loans manager at Arsenal, so assessing when players are going to go out on loan or when they can, and then obviously monitor their performances out on loan. But he's come in and been brilliant. He's instantly identifying where we need help, and there's a long list of targets, and they're good targets. Instantly, Callum Doyle, of course, did the video covering him. That's a player with such high promise, looks a great player. And then even Jose Cordoba, again, we're going through that younger route of players, but then again, that's working with the manager. You know what play style he wants, and we're getting players that fit that. And even just by signing a left-sided centre-half who is naturally left-footed, getting in a player that can play in Doyle, a player who can play centre-half, can also play left-back. And they're just identifying these areas, and it's fantastic. And as you say, they don't want to sell on the cheap. That's evident, and they've said that about a lot of players. There's a manager who, again, is saying all the right things so far, and is identifying what players are doing well, and that he wants to use the players that maybe are linked with moves away, as he knows the ability they can have. But yeah, that's a lovely note to sort of wrap it all up on. Ben Napa's having a brilliant start, but just hopefully it all ends up paying off in all departments. In, of course, Dean Rastick, the new head of academy football, the new women's manager, and Andy Cook, the new men's manager, and Johannes Hoff Thorup, all the new backroom staff. There is so much promise here. You just have to hope it goes as well as everyone wants it to. This is a team who they know they can get promoted. They've got the ability and talent to get promoted, but you just have to hope everything clicks from day one. That's the harsh reality of football. You have to hope everything works and every player learns everything straight away. Otherwise, you're on the back foot and you end up maybe spiraling down the table, and you need a reset, or you keep believing in the coach and it gets worse or it gets better. That's how football works. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed this sort of a different style of video to what we've been doing recently, a more tactical look at the Johannes Hoff Thorup side of things. Of course, it's still so early, it's pre-season. We may well end up touching on one of these again after another pre-season game, or actual games as the season goes on. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Make sure you leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and do subscribe to the channel. I believe we've now gone up to just over 1,830 subscribers, so we've gained a 30 since we started this revamp about a month and a half ago. Again, the support, thank you all so much for it. It's been brilliant to see everyone back in this project, much like we're back in Johannes Hoff Thorup at the minute. But again, thank you all so much, and we'll leave a link to all our social media in the description and our website if you want to read some articles as well. But anyway, I have been Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. He has been the excellent Will Grant. We'll see you for the next video here on the My Football Writer channel. It's goodbye for now and see you all for the next one.